Hi guys. Okay, today's a bit unusual. We're on sort of needlecraft tutorials, but we are on something a bit different to knitting. Now this, and this is how it came, is a little gadget I have seen on Amazon a couple of times when I've been searching for stuff. And it costs literally £2.80. And I'm looking at it like, that cannot work. It just can't work for £2.80. It is a handheld sewing machine. Now, out of sheer curiosity, I went in to take a look, and the reviews on it are split dead between sort of 5 stars and 1 star. The one thing everyone criticised was the packaging, which I am in agreement with. The packaging is rubbish. But for £2.80, how much can you really expect? Now, taking the thing out, you get a small needle threader, and what looks like a spare sort of spool device. The other thing we have here is the actual machine. Spring come. I went for the pink option just because. And it actually already has sort of a bobbin and a thread on there. Yeah. Now, there is no instructions whatsoever inside of it. However, the box, come on, focus camera, there you go. The bottom seems to have them written all the way around. So I'm just going to have a quick read of these and then come back to you. Okay, so the instructions are in somewhat broken English. There are some interesting words in there. But the fact that it actually comes threaded is its saving grace, because you don't need to understand the diagram too correctly. Basically, you have a spool. The longer spool is actually, so looking at the diagrams, this one is so, because this only goes in a tiny bit. The big one would stick out to about here. And that's actually so that it would take sort of a longer spool of thread rather than a little bobbin, which is quite useful. And then it basically comes up through this point here, through a thread tensioner, through, can you see that? It's like a tiny little C-shaped hook, and then down through the needle. And then apparently all you do is you lift this up, put the thread in, and press it down. And I am unsure how well this is going to work, but we're just going to have to try it. Hey guys, you're going to have to forgive me if the filming's a little sloppy, because the normal little tripod I use for these is kind of disappeared somewhere. So I'm doing this one-handed. It's probably not a good plan. But I have lifted up my little plate. Just literally lifted it. Put under just this scrap of green fabric, and apparently I just press down. It seems to be doing something. 2 minutes. You are no. It actually works. I'm in awe. No, look. It's actually sewing stuff. This was £2.80. This is my new favourite toy. And it's a single thread. Look at it. It's absolutely perfect. Just a simple little line of stitches. I'm just trying to get this to... Oh, it's missed one. Wait there. Okay, it's skipped one a little there. It has. But that is genuinely quite impressive. It really is. Okay, this light is a little harsh, but I just wanted you to see how well that actually works. Yeah, there's a little bit of a sort of skipped stitch there, but the thing is still worked, and it's, looking at the flip side of it, it obviously goes into sort of a little, yeah, you can see there where it's dropped, a little chain stitch type pattern. But for fixing things and doing hems, that's absolutely, I'm so impressed. I can't even begin. I mean, you wouldn't use it for big projects, but if you're doing small projects, if it's for a kid who's interested in sewing, I'm totally ordering one of these for my daughter. That's so simple and so easy. I've actually got a pair of red trousers that I ripped the seams on. I was doing some weird yoga stuff, okay. I was actually doing ballet stretches that a friend was getting us to do, and I ripped the seam on them, and they're red. So while this is actually hooked up, I'm going to go and see how this works in terms of an actual project rather than just sort of on scrap fabric. Okay, now the knotting itself thing apparently doesn't always work, and it's took a little bit of trial and error here. But basically, because it's all one thread, it can unloop very easily, sort of, and completely unravel. So what you do is when you get to the end of the bit you want, you very carefully draw out, sort of pull the work away from you, and gently pull the thread just before it goes into the stitching needle away, so you've got a good length, and it's clear away from the edge of the fabric. And then give it one more click, and what will happen is the bottom loop will jump off. Now you need to keep this long and carefully cut the bit on the other side. And then what you need to do is thread that into a normal needle, pass it once through the fabric, and then use it to knot these two together to stop your work unraveling. Okay, now granted, these are not the prettiest seams you've ever seen. There's actually those loose threads were already there. You can see the seams had to be folded slightly oddly. But you know what? It's holding together. It's attached it together. It's done the job it needed to do. These seams we're never going to fix because this is perfectly, because they've been through a washing machine and tumble dryer after they were ripped. There was loose threads. But yes, my big sewing machine maybe would have probably done a little bit of a better job. Hand stitching would have worked, but it would have taken significantly longer. So yeah, they've done the job they were meant to. I've just gone back to my scrap bit of fabric to do a very, very quick rolled hem on it. It's not very straight. But it took literally seconds. It's kind of like a thread stapler. That's the only way I can describe it. Drawbacks with it, you have to, it maybe takes a little bit of practice. I mean, this isn't too bad for a quick job. But you have to be mindful of guiding the fabric without pulling it, because you need to let the little machine feed the fabric through in its own time. And when you take it off, sometimes you lose a few stitches on the end because it is a little fiddly to take off. And with it being a single bobbin, you can lose a few stitches. But I've been playing with this for literally 15 minutes and it works. There's no two ways about this, it works. If you do any sort of small projects, making little bags, even bigger projects that you would normally hand stitch, if it's something where you think, oh, it's just fixing the seam, it's just taking up a hem, I don't want to get the big machine out, but I can't be bothered to hand stitch it. It's just so easy and it works so well. I am very, very pleasantly surprised and a little bit shocked that for £2.80 you can get something, a little gadget that is actually this effective and really handy. I am going to get some more of these. I'm going to get one for my daughter, because if I don't, she'll steal this one. And I'm probably going to get one, although maybe not pink, for my husband, because he does a lot of, we do a lot of like theatre type work and performance type work. And, the guys are forever tearing seams or hems are coming away on costume. And to be able to just pull this out in a field, wherever you are on location, and just fix things is just an absolute little godsend. Yeah, I am surprised to be saying this, but £2.80 sewing machine, highly, highly recommended. If you want this little guy, it's available on Amazon, probably other places as well, but I got them from Amazon, and I will place a direct link to the product page in the description below.